Many political commentators frame the debate over transgender athletes as a distraction. The argument suggests it's a stupid issue, used primarily as a tool for the right to score points against the left. This dismissive tone persists because much of the country is living in a cultural bomb shelter. Fear of cancellation or professional retaliation creates an environment where people publicly nod along to ideological concepts they privately find nonsensical. Data models suggest an estimated 80. He absorbed the initial waves of backlash, from media compilations questioning his character to news outlets doctoring his image to make him appear less intelligent. Treating this debate as a partisan joke ignores the legislative vacuum it creates. When biological distinctions are dismissed as stupid, the legal protections once reserved for biological females begin to disappear. To understand the stakes, the conversation has to move out of the studio and onto the physical rings and mats of female combat sports. High-stakes competition relies on the objective reality of XX versus XY chromosomes. This structural difference determines bone density, lung capacity, and muscle power, factors that remain fixed regardless of personal identification. The mismatch becomes visible on the wrestling mat. Biological girls are forced to compete against male-bodied athletes, creating leverage and force dynamics that the female body isn't built to sustain. These controversies have reached the highest levels of the sport. Female fighters have suffered cracked skulls and severe facial injuries against competitors who went through male puberty, with athletes like Imani Khalif anchoring a global debate over the boundaries of international competition. For a family watching their daughter sustain a serious injury after years of dedicated training, this isn't a political dunk. It is the tangible consequence of a policy that prioritizes ideology over physical risk. Sacrificing the physical safety of female athletes in the name of political theory doesn't create fairness, it removes it entirely. These risks extend beyond the arena. Gender self-identification policies impact the security of everyday, vulnerable spaces, including locker rooms and correctional facilities. Removing biological requirements creates a structural fissure. This gap allows individuals to bypass previous security barriers and access spaces specifically designed for the protection of women. This isn't theoretical. Legal cases have emerged where biological males utilize trans identity to gain access and sexually assault female wrestlers and inmates. Defending these spaces carries a heavy personal cost. Athletes and advocates like Riley Gaines face a constant stream of harassment and death threats for questioning the current status quo. The presence of death threats and physical violence moves this issue past the realm of theater. The focus shifts toward the immediate physical protection of women. While the goal of inclusion is understandable, it cannot be subsidized by the safety and competitive fairness of biological girls. Fairness requires that the burden of physical risk falls on the individual making the choice to identify outside their biological sex, not on the girls forced to compete against them. The logistical solution involves two distinct pathways. Preserving the integrity of the female category requires that transgender athletes compete in male or designated open categories. The cultural paralysis is beginning to break. Even prominent left-leaning figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have started distancing themselves from previous woke talking points, indicating that many of these earlier ideological demands have become untenable in the face of reality. This shift depends on the silent 80%